The bad news is the Guardians had another lackluster offensive performance in game, losing to the Royals on Tuesday. The good news is they play in the worst division in baseball. Is that really good news?
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into an episode of Locked On Guardians, where we give 100% effort every single day, even when your Guardians don't. We show up every single day, and we try to hit one out of the park every day. Sometimes we miss, but, our effort is always consistent. We are consistent, and that's more than you could say for the Guardians right now. This is, of course, Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that covers your team every day, from the majors, the minors, the draft, everything between. That is Jeff Ellis. I am Justin Lada, your two co-hosts. Jeff here for 8 years, me for the last 4. On today's show, we'll get into the tricky bullpen situation because Colin Holderman has been carrying this bullpen for a little bit, and we'll talk about
been a savior for it.
Yeah, who may or may not come back and why he has to stay. We'll talk about Gavin Williams' disappointing performance, and getting beat by the bottom of the order is frustrating. But we have to lead it off with what the Guardians are doing on the leadoff spot. Nothing, right? Lead off with absolutely nothing. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Yeah, we could just start the show off with the weakest, one of the weakest things we can do. I mean, I guess the worst thing to do would be leading off Bo Naylor, right? Like that's probably the only way it could get worse at the top of the order.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go look. Let's just be real honest with this. Like Steven Kwan, you go back, and since basically from July on, it was bad. And that's been kind of the story of his career. Like that year where people are like, he might hit 400. Do people remember that? And then he struggled to hit 200 in the second half.
Like Farm remembers.
So, he has always been a guy who struggles in the second half. The problem is he's struggling in the first half. Like his exit velo is down for a guy who every offseason is training his exit velo. It's a weird thing to see.
Bad speed.
His bat speed, but his bat speed is also like the only person worse is Louis Arise. But Louis Arise has always been able to do a little bit more. Has done more than Kwan did in terms of just pure getting on base. And even tonight, like he made good contact and it went to the warning track. And he is essentially right now. I didn't pull up coming in the day. He had a 70 WRC plus. He went 0 for 4 tonight, right? So he'd be down to he's going to be below 70. He's going to be in the 60s. If you have a good defensive center fielder who's in the 60s with WRC plus, that guy's name is Miles Straw, especially when it's someone who can't hit for any power and has a slow bat speed. Like, Steven Kwan has become Miles Straw. Like that is where we are with him. And I know people are like, you got to give him more time. The problem with Steven Kwan is he spends roughly half this takes me back to the Jason Kipnis wars. And I know you and I were on other sides of it, but Jason Kipnis was a lot like Kwan, where it was like, well, you might as well send him home after June because nothing's going to happen with that bat. Like he had some of the most pronounced splits in the game. And that is what we see now with Kwan. But the problem now is he is suffering and having the worst start that he has had. And there are signs of why. There are signs that like his bat is slower. His exit velocities are lower. Like things are not going well there. And the production is so bad that at some point you have to, for the good of this team, move down the guy who is as you said, he's probably the second worst hitter right now outside of Bo Naylor on the team. And he's leading off, which means he has the most plate appearances on your team. You can't, again, we mention WRC plus all the time. It's a weighted runs created metric that kind of looks at everything you do offensively and gives a score, 100 being average. The only person below Steven Kwan is Kyle Manzardo on this team and Bo Naylor. And that's it. And Manzardo had a nice hit today. So, he helped them go up by having the single before the home run. He's had a few moments of late. But Kwan, he had a few games here or there, but it's been ugly. And he's got 8 less plate appearances than Jose Ramirez, just because Jose has played in 2 more games. But he's got 19 more than DeLauter and Rocchio, who were tied at 130 coming into the day. So DeLauter is moved up on that with the plate appearances today. But yeah, there's just not a lot to look at and think, oh, this is what's wrong. This is what's, he's been a replacement level player because of how bad that offense is. And I'll just stop. I know some people love him. They're going to be mad. And yeah, maybe if his BABIP bounced up, but even if it bounced up to the 280 range where it was last year, he's still like a 250, 260 hitter. That's still not going to work because he's also in a career worst slug. Like I said, he is below the threshold of power required just to be able to hit a fastball or hit, these pitches that major league pitchers throw. Like he is just not able to connect and do anything with major league pitchers currently.
And the great part is he's actually getting paid more than Miles Straw did in Cleveland. He's making $7.7 million this year. Miles Straw's contract was $5 million a year when he was in Cleveland. Yeah. So Kwan's getting paid more because the Gold Gloves have added up, and
his defense is good in center.
Still good.
It's not as good as Kwan or Straw's was in center. So it's less of that peak value because Straw had some years where his defensive value was like top 5 defender in baseball. Like,
yeah, 2022 he had if you look on Fangraphs, like it was a 12.6 on the value, and he was still positive WAR, even though offensively he had a 291 on base in 2022. So he was one of the worst hitters in baseball, and he still had a positive WAR value because of his defense. So Kwan is at a 0.01 and may keep going up if he continues to play good defense in center field. But yeah, I don't know how you can keep going with him as the leadoff hitter, because it's either like a ground ball to second base or a blooper to, he's having so many lazy flyouts to left field because he can't get around the ball. And you can't keep giving 4 or 5 plate appearances a game to one of the worst hitters on the team. I hate to put Travis Bazzana in like such a tough position early on. And I don't think this will be an issue if they were to do it. And let's not even acknowledge it. Like if we wake up today on Wednesday and we see the lineup at like 4 p.m. Eastern and Steven Kwan is not leading off, I will be flabbergasted.
Agreed.
But I don't think it'll be I can't imagine it's coming anytime soon, but I don't think you'll create any hard feelings if Stephen Vogt, walks into the clubhouse or calls Kwan into his office and says, hey, we're going to lead off Travis. You're going to move down in the order. I don't think Stephen Kwan is there's not going to be like a riff or anything. It's just Kwan knows it's not going well. I don't think you have to worry about that. It's putting Bazzana in an awkward spot, like, taking over for a guy he considers he looks up to a little bit because of the Oregon State ties, and he's only been up here for a couple of games. But there's nobody else in his team, like other than Chase DeLauter, that you can lead off. Like I know Schneemann did it when Kwan sat in Toronto, but Schneemann's come back to earth too. He had some bad at bats in this game. And I think it's also important to point out, like, yes, we're kind of ragging on Steven Kwan a little bit right here, but he is not the only culprit of this offense being shaky like that. And, we talked about in Sacramento, we were like, oh, is this 22 runs in 2 games, 23 runs? They only scored 1 run in the finale. So we're like, is this the start of a breakout? And clearly it's not, because they haven't continued. Like the offense has regressed since the weekend. So it had a lot to do with the fact that the Athletics pitching staff stinks and the ball carries in Sacramento, and it's a AAA ballpark. So it had a lot to do with why their offense broke out. But Steven Kwan's not the only culprit. Like Jose Ramirez is not Jose Ramirez right now. Manzaro's been better lately, but he still has been great. And then, it's the same stuff. Like Bazzana's had great at bats. He was one of the few guys tonight that didn't get a hit that actually probably deserved one based on his at bats and some of the exit velocities. Martinez, we know it comes and goes in waves for him. He's a streaky player. And then Rocchio got the night off, but he's also come to earth. Like the only guy that showed up tonight was really Rhys Hoskins with that 1 home run. And even then that was just 1 at bat. So outside of Chase DeLauter and Travis Bazzana, okay to walk. But outside of like DeLauter and Bazzana, they're your most 2 consistent hitters this year, which is crazy. And it's not good. It's great those guys are delivering on their potential, because that's what we've been talking about the last couple of years. But we thought adding them to this lineup was going to be a huge jolt, and instead they're the only 2 that are consistently showing up every day, and that's a problem. I mean, if you don't have if Jose Ramirez is not Jose Ramirez, your offense is not going anywhere. I don't care what Steven Kwan does.
Yeah. Just real quickly, Steven Kwan exit velocity down 4 miles an hour from a year ago. That's huge.
Barely. He's already not. No, he doesn't hit the ball hard to begin with.
Went from 86 to 82. His max went from 104 to 108. His hard hit percentage is down from 19 to 11, and his strikeout percentage is the highest of his career. So he is striking out more than he's ever struck out and hitting the ball significantly weaker than he's ever hit it.
All right, we got to keep talking about the lack there of offense from the Guardians in Kansas City, what changes to make. Talk about Gavin Williams' performance and the letdown that came from that. And we'll talk about the bullpen. Colin Holderman, a major bright spot on Tuesday evening. And we've also got some bad news about a reliever we have to deliver as well. That's coming up on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians. I feel like the Guardians need some energy here at some point. I don't know if they have a sweet tooth like I do, but they're looking for that perfect pick-me-up. The Confetti Craze 5-hour energy shot brings you the nostalgic flavor in a whole new way. It's the classic taste we all remember, that tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. Quick and easy way to satisfy a sweet tooth craving, keeping things simple on the go. I do love the flavor of birthday cake. I will eat birthday cake flavored anything for the most part. So this sounds fantastic, especially when you need something with caffeine, energy boost, zero sugar, and no guilt and no crash. Guardians, maybe they should try a little bit of, I know baseball players love their caffeine, man. They love their coffee. Maybe take a 5-hour energy birthday cake. Celebrate. Maybe they can celebrate like it's their birthday and hit some home runs or something. I don't know. The Funfetti flavor, it is back on 5hourenergy.com. Amazon, crack open Confetti Craze 5-hour energy shots today. Appreciate everybody here hanging out with us on this episode of Locked On Guardians. Win or lose, we still show up, and for the most part, the everydayers, they are always here with us, Jeff. And if you want to be an everydayer, what does that mean? That means you get ad-free episodes of the show on all your favorite audio platforms. It also gives you access to the private Discord server for Locked On, where Jeff and I chat, other fans of the show and fans of the Guardians chat, as well as other hosts on the network and their fans as well. So you can talk trash with the Tigers fans who lost Tarek Skubal, and Framber Valdez was a baby on Tuesday night and got his butt kicked and got kicked out of the game, and that makes us feel better about ourselves. So check the link in the show notes to learn more. Go to lockedonguardians.supercast.com. Yes, other teams still stink. This is still the worst division in baseball. And thank goodness.
Two more weird Kwan stats as you were doing the ad read that I stumbled upon. Not to completely bury him, but for his career, he's a guy who's had an opposite field ground ball rate of 8.3 to 8.9. For it's in the 8s every single year. 11.4 this year. So that's a pretty significant jump that he's going opposite field on the, which is basically the least productive way to hit a baseball, is to go opposite field on the ground. That is the least productive way to do a baseball. And then the other thing is his line drive rate is the lowest of his career. Previous low was 27. He's at 21 this year, so a 6% drop. And that has all gone into pop-ups, where the previous high was a 6.5. Last year was a 5.7. He's at a 10.5. So he is hitting the ball literally in the worst possible places. His page comps him to like Adam Frazier, Keibert Ruiz, Willie Calhoun on
Those
Savant.
It's you want to be compared to.
Something is wrong. Like there's no other way.
Well, there is Mauricio Dubon, who was good last year, and there's Jurickson Profar, who takes steroids.
But this is 2022 version. This was before he got paid version. So I don't think this is the good version of Jurickson Profar.
It says 2020. Oh yeah, 2025. Yeah. Mauricio Dubon, pretty good.
Was okay. He was still below league average.
You know what? You're right. 644 OPS.
Yeah. These are the bad versions of all of these guys. So yeah, there's something wrong here. Like, I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know what's going, but like the fact is that he's doing all this data points to something is not right. And it's just not a swing change or something like that. Cause we're not, I know I saw people online talk about, oh, he's changing his swing. He's getting back to what he did. This isn't swing change to have, your exit velos fall out that much, to be so behind on pitches that you are, or ahead that you're popping up or hitting the ball on the ground, the opposite field. Like something is, he's not hitting his launch angle sweet spot either, which is something he did before. Like, this looks like a guy who is not a shell of himself.
What's even crazier, I guess I'll join the fray on the weird Steven Kwan stats. So the Guardians are, I believe, they're still first in baseball at pitchers per plate appearances at 406. So they are still one of the most patient teams in baseball, or at least having some of the best at bats. So you can't even say on some nights we see the approach has not been great, but overall as a team, they are still seeing a lot of pitches, which in general is good, unless you're. Is that cat on your head right now, or is that?
No, I got a chair.
Okay, something. Your cat's about to do something to you, and it's about to get interesting. Probably a stronger hitter tonight than the Guardians' offense.
Yeah, I would argue.
She gives you a good swat. Anyway, so the league average on pitches per plate appearances is 3.91. Steven Kwan seeing 3.85. So he is now seeing below league average when it comes to pitches per plate appearance, which I'm not going to go look up his stats from years past, but generally has been one of the best leadoff hitters in baseball because he makes a lot of contact. He sees a lot of pitches. He knows the strike zone. And the APS challenge system hasn't even saved him so far this year.
He's supposed to help him.
Yeah, probably not great.
His weak contact is more than last year was a previous high of 4.7. He's at 8.8 this year. League average is 4.2. He's topping. Well, I guess that's not as high, but he's just, I mean, it's the worst barrel rate of his career. He's always been terrible at barreling, but it's just another level. Like, I mean, all the data points to just a really bad hitter. Like, there's no way around
I know.
it.
Again, it's going to sound like we're blaming all the offensive problems on Steven Kwan. Bo Naylor is still not good.
He's your table setter. He's one of the two guys who came in the year saying we can count on this guy being a league average bat. We came in the year.
He was a top 100 player in the lockdown rankings.
And he's a player who, we've heard about in the past. Like, he's planning to get paid. He had, remember the whole video leak after his rookie year where he compared him. He talked about how he wasn't Miles Straw. Well, hey, buddy, guess what? You are Miles Straw now.
And everybody wanted to give him extend Kwan now.
Give him $100 million contract. People were saying a year ago. It's like he has. Where you and I were like, let him play out the contract, and then you say goodbye because guys with his size and build don't age well.
And I hope this isn't the end. I hope he figures it out because I still like Steven Kwan. Like he's still.
I mean, no, he's a good dude. There's a lot of reasons to like him as a player, as a human, but right now, you can't have a 100 max exit velocity and survive as a big league player. You can't. That just doesn't.
You also can't keep putting the same lineup. You can't keep putting the same lineup out there too and expecting the same different results.
And you can't worry about hurt feelings with a guy who's playing this badly.
Right. I think he realizes he's not playing up to his potential. So I think he'd accept it.
Someone's got, I mean, he's by all accounts a great dude, a high competitor. You would think he would be the first one saying like, no, I get it. I'm not doing what I need to do to keep that spot.
Yeah. And maybe it takes some pressure off him. I don't know. Maybe it allows him to hide in the lineup a little bit more and work on something. Who knows? Gavin Williams, we got to mention him tonight too. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. The best thing you could say though is that he went 6 innings. So that means the bullpen only had to cover 2. And we'll talk about Colin Holderman in a little bit, but the best thing you could say is that the bullpen is in good shape again for tomorrow, or for today, I should say. But if you're an ace, everyone's like, oh, Gavin Williams is the ace now, and he's the guy. And, by stuff and some of the performance this year, yes, he is. This is the first time all year he's allowed more hits than innings pitched. I shouldn't say that. I think he did the Toronto game too. So maybe 2 times this year he's allowed more hits than innings pitched. He did have the walks, which is great. He only walked 2. The problem is one of those walks came before a home run, which is what the problem here. If you're the stopper, you got to go out there and shut the other team down. And you can't be giving up a double and a homer and 3 hits to Isaac Collins, the 7-hitter. You can't be giving up a home run to Michael Massey. Like, Isaac Collins is a better player this year than Steven Kwan. Michael Massey is right down there with Steven Kwan. Yeah. That's like giving up a home run to Steven Kwan, or even worse this year.
He had Michael Massey in a 1-2 count. In the past, wasn't Michael I gotta pull up before
I'm sorry. He walked Kyle Isabel. Sorry, that's not.
He walked Kyle Isabel, who was the 9th hitter, who was actually having a decent year. In fairness, but
he is. Yeah, he didn't give
Kyle Massey was hitting under 200 this year. He was not good a year ago. He back in 24, he actually had a pretty good season for them. But he's not a strong performer, and it's just that's not the guy you could sit there and give up the home run to. Like, this is a guy you need to go out, and he's got a negative WAR for his career because he's just not hit outside of 2024, where I'm sure he rocked a ridiculous BABIP. It's just that thing when you see that one mirage year, okay, if I can find actually it wasn't a mirage BABIP that year, but yeah, that was the frustrating thing. Isaac Collins has been bad, like I said, better than Kwan, but bad. And then you got to put guys away. It's the same thing, I bring up with Tanner. Gavin's got the stuff to put him away. He seemed to struggle. He didn't have his best stuff. He wasn't always hitting his spots.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you give up home runs to 7 and 8 here, I mean, Isaac Collins doesn't have a lot of power. Michael Massey hasn't been good in a couple
Maybe
of years.
He missed not having Hedgie out there. Normally he has Hedgie as a catcher.
Well, that is, again, I keep saying, I know you keep saying the age, can he handle it? But it's like, you got to do it for now, I think, because see what happens.
Maybe I'll throw out my random at the end of the show. I'll throw out my trade thing I texted you today and see what people think. Oh,
Lord. All right, we'll talk about that. We'll talk, I guess there's not much more to talk about with Gavin Williams. We can talk about the bullpen because that was the one bright spot in this game besides Rhys Hoskins' 3-run homer. But we've also got some not so great news to talk about when it comes to the bullpen, and that will be next on today's Locked On Guardians. The NBA playoffs, they disappoint all of us, just like the Guardians offense. But every possession matters, as evidenced by all the turnovers the Cavs keep giving up, right? If you're looking to get closer to the action, maybe be less miserable, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So you can turn $5 into $150 for on bets just for getting started with FanDuel. I've got a buddy who likes to throw some money down on FanDuel, a little bit of props on the Guardians, but also sometimes putting the money line or the over-under on the other team. So if the Guardians lose, he makes money. And if they win and he doesn't make money, at least he's happy his team won. So something goes good for him every night. He either makes money or his team wins. So he's generally pretty happy about that. The Guardians, they are 1.5-run underdogs on Wednesday against the Royals. Joey Cantillo, Cole Ragans, the over-under, I believe, 7.5. This game got to 8, so I suppose it's possible Wednesday's game gets to 8 too. But Guardians offense, I know Cole Ragans hasn't been good, but I don't like where it's going. So head to FanDuel right now to get started. FanDuel, play your game. I have not looked at the most recent numbers, but we are so close to 6,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, you hit the bell or just subscribe and hit the bell so you get videos sent to your phone when we react to these disappointing losses or any other news going on or when the episodes go live or if we get video of Jeff's cat just walking all over him and making him look very uncomfortable.
We're 71 away. 71 away.
Maybe we need more cats abusing Jeff.
Or the team to not be painful to watch. Let's be real honest. Like,
yeah,
we're always gonna tag it. We're gonna try to make it interesting. We're gonna try to have fun with it. We're gonna go for all the angles. But right now, it's not fun to watch. Like, this is not a fun to watch baseball team right now. And that's
your cat. Your cat's got a lot to say about.
Yeah, she does. She's she is not happy with. But I feel like normally when she shows up, they win the next day. And
Rally Cat
this week, so let's see if Rally Cat can work.
Replace the Rally Dino with the Rally Cat.
They just haven't had rallies this year. Let's be honest. Like when they've had them, then the bullpen blew it. Like the Saturday Grand Slam and things like that.
Yeah,
there's not been a lot of walk-off situations for this team this year.
No, the Rhys Hoskins 3-run homer was. I mean, I guess 3-run homers aren't really rallies, but yeah. I mean, you had Friday and Saturday the offense was good, but clearly it was because Sacramento. Like even Jose didn't have a great weekend in Sacramento. That was really
Jose isn't having a great weekend any weekend, so that's.
And not at this point. No, he's got to turn it around too.
Yeah, I mean he is a killer right now. Just because if you had the All-Star game right now, Jose Ramirez doesn't make it, which is kind of a crazy statement to make.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before, like DeLauter and Bazzana are your most consistent hitters right now, and you can sprinkle in a little bit of. Martinez and Manzardo.
I'd probably put Martinez ahead of Bazzana because while the data is there, the results haven't been there yet. I'm not. It's not that I'm not as bullish on Baz, but he hasn't produced yet. Like the data says, he should have a lot more hits because he's very consistently driving the ball. So eventually he'll get there. He's had some bad luck, but right now to me, it's a one-man machine with DeLauter. That's been this offense this year, and I think the second most consistent hitter one can make a case is Angel.
Yeah, that's fair. Colin Holderman has been ridiculously consistent as well, so he came back from. I know. I mean, hey, the guy's named Colin Holderman. I mean, he hasn't had a chance to hold any leads, but it's a pretty good name. Not as good as Josh Outman, but he's been better than. Remember Josh Outman? That was
I do before they shipped him to Colorado.
Well, no, I think he started in Colorado and then
is that what it was?
Cleveland. Yeah, he was with Colorado for all those years.
Yeah.
Great name for a pitcher, but he was not good in Cleveland. Colin Holderman, though, has been fantastic. He is now, I believe, at 9 straight scoreless innings since he came back from Columbus on April 26th. He's allowed just 4 hits in those 9 innings, and he's got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 strikeouts. So Colin Holderman, next to Eric Sabrowski, has been like the best reliever in the bullpen, even better than Cade Smith in some respects. So Colin Holderman was seen as like the depth guy, the guy with options who can go up and down. And it's like there's no indication that Shawn Armstrong's coming back anytime soon because nobody said anything. It's a groin strain, and he's 35, almost 36, so that could linger for a little bit, which stinks. But Colin Holderman's been better than Shawn Armstrong was, so I would almost consider. I mean, Holderman continues to be the guy that comes in and soaks up 2 innings every time the team is losing. I would almost consider moving him into a high leverage spot the way he's pitched. Like everything, this is exactly what we wanted when Cleveland got him, right? Like they have seemed to have the fastball velocities there. He seems to have fixed his issues with like the sweeper location. His sinker is just crushing it right now. They have turned things around with him from what he was doing a year ago. I don't know when Armstrong is coming back, but all I know is even though Colin Holderman has 2 options, I don't think you can send him down. I'm sorry. Well, they already used it this year, so he's already used 1 option, but it's still the option year. So Tim Herron and Hunter Gaddis have options. I would almost consider sending Gaddis down if he doesn't get this fixed.
I think that's the move, honestly. I do, because he's got the option, and if it's not him, I think then you're seeing if Brogdon passes through waivers, because I kind of think he does. I kind of think a team isn't going to claim.
Yeah, and I guess you keep Herron because you want 2 lefties, but Herron has not been inspiring this year either.
No,
but outside of Franco Aleman, who also pitched tonight, by the way, and what did he do? Let's see. Aleman, actually, he just ended the game in Columbus.
Yeah, he just came in. Espino came in. Espino
came in and he just he got 1 strikeout, and then he just got a fly out. So he's got 2 outs here in Columbus. So
no, he got 3. He did the whole inning.
The inning's not over yet, according to
for Espino, not Aleman.
I meant Aleman. Aleman's only got 2 outs so far in the 9th inning. So if you're going to call somebody up, it's going to be Aleman, and if you need to replace somebody, and like you said, it's optioning Gaddis for Aleman or trying to pass Brogdon.
But what about the people saying? What about Andrew Walters? He was supposed to be the first one up.
Yeah, well, Andrew Walters hasn't thrown a pitch since April 24th. So we're going on almost 2 weeks now.
Yeah,
it'll be 2 weeks on Friday if he doesn't pitch. So clearly something's not right with Andrew Walters if he hasn't pitched in a while. His rehab would have been ending soon. So clearly they're probably going to have to restart the clock on his rehab because something's not right. So Andrew Walters is probably not coming back anytime soon if he's missed that much time because he's got to build back up now. So it's not Walters, and it's not going to be Espino. Espino was great tonight in Columbus. He had 2 strikeouts, looked good. The next guy up is Aleman. So I don't know. The bullpen wasn't the problem here on Tuesday. And the nice thing is Cade Smith hasn't thrown since Friday night, and Sabrowski hasn't thrown since Friday. Gaddis hasn't thrown since Saturday, even though I don't know what you want to throw him into at this point. Herron's got 3 straight days off. So Holderman has really – is that 3 days in a row for Holderman? Saturday,
no, because he didn't pitch yesterday.
Yeah, okay. So 3 out of 4 days, though, Holderman has thrown a lot of pitches. He threw 27 pitches on Sunday, and he threw how many tonight? 26. So he's definitely down on Tuesday. But the good news is everybody else got the night off. So that's like the only silver lining from this game besides the Rhys Hoskins 3-run homer. So, yeah, Walter's not coming back anytime soon. No idea on Armstrong. But the point is Colin Holderman can't go anywhere when they do call up a reliever for any reason. You got to have somebody else because right now, for unbelievable to say, but Colin Holderman right now is kind of indispensable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's unbelievable. I'll just say he kind of had that role for a few years with Pittsburgh before he kind of came undone. So he's had more success more recently than Brogdon has had. So in some respects, you could see the which is part of the reason I think they went out and added him because yes, Pittsburgh has developed some I don't know how much credit you give him for Skeens and Chandler and some other guys. Pittsburgh's playing well, but clearly Cleveland sees something wrong with the development there as to target Holderman, Ortiz, Hartle, a few guys that they saw. Not that Hartle was there very long to try to get more out of him, but still, they very clearly see an approach or an angle that is not being quite done as well as could be.
Yeah, it looks like, just quickly looking at some of the data, it looks like there's a little more vertical break on Holderman's slider. I should say a sweeper this year than there was last year, and his sinker seems to be getting a little more vertical drop too. So he's maybe getting the sinker lower in the zone. And it looks like the sweeper is crossing the zone a little more too. Like if you look at the plots on Savant, like I didn't grab the screen grabs this time, but he's locating the sinker low in the zone, out of harm's way, and the sweeper is also landing in the zone a lot low in the zone. So when he throws, he's locating his stuff. Like we talk about how Cleveland has not been really good at helping guys with command. Usually it's improving their stuff or throwing harder. Right now, they've done a really good job of helping him with his control and command, which was, and that might have a lot to do with stuff too. Cause like last year we talked about, like he was just not landing his stuff in an ideal place. Like he was either getting too much of the plate or nothing at all. And which is also what was going on with Kate Smith for a little bit. So I guess this is like one of those cases where they have succeeded so far in a small sample of helping a guy regain some command and control, and his sinker and sweeper combination has been sick. The numbers are all really good.
Yeah, and since he's doing multi innings, you're just,
he's more value. Yeah,
it's typically we see a degradation in performance and things like that, but we have not seen it, which makes it all the more impressive with him. So, yeah, he's been a fantastic addition. And I agree, you kind of got to find ways to keep someone like that who's performing at that level.
Will he keep having a 180 ERA? Probably not.
No.
But it's still really valuable right now, and I think he'll continue to be solid for you. And maybe if things turn sour, you can option him. But like again, who knows when Armstrong's coming back? Walters isn't coming back anytime soon, so this is not a problem you have to deal with in the next week or so. So. Holderman, I would just move Holderman up in the pecking order. Like I would let Gaddis kind of rebuild his confidence in lower leverage situations, and I would see if Holderman can be a guy that gets some good outs for you. And that's if the Guardians have leverage situations too. By the way, they have leads and then they're gone very quickly. Like the fourth inning on Monday, and then was it also the fourth inning in this game too? Yeah, it was the fourth. It was the fourth inning again today. They were down 2-0 to start the game, but then they were up 3-2, and then the Royals came right back with the Michael Massey home run, and that was the end of the game, basically. So 2 straight days, the Guardians blew the game in the fourth inning, and not the bullpen's fault. So you're not even giving the bullpen any leverage outings to begin with. Jeff, how do you like the Guardians' chances on Wednesday against Cole Ragans, who is not having a good year, but historically has pitched very well against Cleveland?
I mean, right now I don't like their chances against me, and I don't even think I touch 40 anymore. But it's a situation where I don't want to get too negative. I don't want to get too down. But yeah, this is just I don't like I said, if I was out there, I'd be looking like what's his name? Why am I blanking on the former Raptor or 50 Cent? Yeah, that's what my pitch would look like.
Oh yeah,
50 cents.
I was thinking. I'm going to admit this, and it's not going. And people are going to say, "Absolutely, I can't believe you saw this," but you didn't see Major League 3, did you?
No, I refused because they made themselves a Minnesota team.
Yeah, it was the Salt Lake Buzz. It wasn't even the Bees; it was the Buzz. But they had a reliever who was like, I don't know, it had to be in his 40s in AAA, and it was Doc, and he just threw nothing but off-speed stuff. And manager comes out of the dugout and brings him in, and he's like, "You want me to go with the slow stuff?" And he goes, "You got anything else?" Nope. Okay, then. That might work against Cleveland right now, honestly. And Cole Ragans, I'm hoping this is a good sign. Cole Ragans' changeup this year has been getting battered around. We know the Guardians struggle against changeup, so either Cole Ragans' changeup is going to continue to get beaten around, or the Guardians are really going to restore his confidence in that changeup.
Yeah,
I don't like those odds, but yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance to keep on our movie references.
The Guardians are either, okay, I'm going to say this now. The Guardians are either going to pummel Cole Ragans or they're going to get shut out. No in between. So this won't be a 4-3 game on Wednesday. Either a shutout or they're going to pummel them. No in between.
Well, what I do know is what I do know is that we will be here to win or lose. Maybe it'll be entertaining if they lose, just to see us sitting here crying on the screen for 30 minutes with the way this team is played offensively. But we promise it'll be more entertaining than that. We thank you all for joining us. Remember to review, download daily, watch the video. This losing streak is hurting us as much as it's hurting the team. So make sure you are checking out every day. Thank you all for joining us. And I didn't do the exit video, so let's do that and throw that up. Thank you all. And go Guardians, go. Score a run, for crying out loud. Maybe 4. Can we do that?
5.
What's 5? I don't even know. I haven't seen that on a scoreboard outside of Sacramento in so long. I don't know what the number 5 is. Thank you.